Okay, we will start. Any doubts?
Sir, I have a doubt regarding the PDF. So, are you going to teach the PDF today or what, sir?
Tell me. Tell me, Tejaswini, what's your doubt?
The statement is Durkheim emphasizes on separation of cause and function in order to avoid illegitimate teleology. So, what does means the illegitimate teleology means?
Yeah, illegitimate teleology means basically he's stressing on what? Separation of cause and function. Now, why he is separating cause and function is basically to avoid illegitimate teleology. That is what I have written there. So, you need to know what is this illegitimate teleology, right?
Yes, sir. What's the exact meaning of that?
Okay, so see, sometimes when people explain the function, they will they will explain that in terms of the cause itself. For example, when I say division of labor, we have explained the cause already.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this cause is not necessarily the function. Function may be different. So that you can actually understand from that theory itself. What was the cause? Cause was basically struggle for existence in the present occupation.
Yes, sir.
But was that the function of division of labor? Function of division of labor is different.
Yes.
It is basically interdependence and also giving much required autonomy to individual. These are the two functions that we have discussed when it comes to division of labor. So the cause and function are different. But some people will express cause and function as the same. So when you say cause and function as the same, that situation is what illegitimate teleology. That is just a circular argument. For example, when we talk about the fan that we use, okay, so what is the cause of the fan? If somebody is asking you the cause of the fan, people are so hot to get that some cool this thing, you have developed this fan. So you may say cause is because of hotness the fan is discovered, so that is the cause of the fan. And what is the function of the fan? The function of the fan is also similar, like it is giving that coolness, right? So both are actually same, cause and function is same. That's a circular argument, and that situation is what Durkheim understood as illegitimate teleology. But cause and function is not necessarily the same always. That is why you have to explain cause first and then function, and that's why Durkheim's understanding is causal functional explanation. Every theory, if you take religion, if you take first, he'll explain the cause of religion, then function of religion. Division of labor, cause and function. Only in suicide we won't see function, because suicide is not doing much function. Only cause he will explain. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so to avoid that circular argument, that illegitimate teleology, that's what you mean by illegitimate teleology, like expressing cause and function as the same, but that is not necessarily the same. And here itself in division of labor, you can easily understand cause is struggle for existence in the present occupation, but function is entirely different. Function is interdependence and that organic solidarity, and it is providing the required autonomy to individual. All these are the functions of division of labor. So both are different. So you need to explain it differently. Cause and function is required. Okay?
Okay, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Sir, and
yes, tell me.
Sir, yesterday you told that when the interaction increases between people in the primitive society, the moral density increases, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I gave the example of class and students.
Yes,
so the moral density and the material density one and the same or different?
No. Moral density means when we talk about norms and values. Norms, values, etc. of the society increase. When more people are there, when more interaction will be there, norms and values in the society will increase. The expected behavior from people, that's what norms. And the values are the ideas that we carry in mind and based on which we will evaluate situations. So norms and values in the society will increase with the development of society, with the development of individual, with the development of interactions. So more the interaction, more norms required. That's why I've given you the example of the class. When more students are there, more rules, more norms, what is expected from you, what is expected from me, it has to be defined clearly, so moral density will increase. Material density means, we have already discussed when it comes to inductivism and positivism, etc. Material, that means external reality, that number of students, number of population, these are material factors.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yeah. Mahesh, you were asking something? Mahesh? Ramesh, sorry. Ramesh?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, does size of population cause division of labor?
Size of population is one of the reason, not directly. See, what is actually happening is when the population increases, the material density, moral density, etc. is increasing. Automatically, you have now access to activities performed in different bands. I've told you people live in bands, right? Like this. So there is no connection between bands in primitive society. But when population increase, when interaction increase, now there is access to activities performed in different bands. That's what I'm saying. So when you have access to activities, so Junaid, where are you from?
Sir, UP.
UP. So before you never had any access to me before, but now because of these setup, you have access to me. I'm sitting in Kerala and I'm teaching you. So now you have access to activities performed in other bands, right? In Kerala now. So what is actually happening? Suppose you are here, now you have connection with this person. So somebody here in your locality is struggling. Otherwise you should have gone to that person, right?
Okay.
So that's what you mean by struggle for existence. When you have access to everything, only the fittest can survive.
Yes.
Yeah, or when the fittest will survive, what the unfit can do, he will create specialization. He will have to create specialization in something.
Okay, sir.
So that specialization will lead to occupational, that is what occupational specialization, that leads to division of labor.
Okay.
Ramesh, you were asking something. Ramesh?
Sir?
Yeah.
So Durkheim idea about crime, that some extent crime is normal and beyond that it's pathological.
Yes,
It's completely subjective, no?
It is not subjective, it is actually objective only, but everything in sociology is actually subjective, but Durkheim says beyond a certain limit, but that limit we don't know. But since there is a limit, we can say it's a kind of objective, but it depends again on society. Okay, in India it's different, it may be different in US, it may be different in Europe. Nobody can predict what is that limit. So in that context, it is subjective.
So even in India, if you want one crime happen in the privileged section, then it's become pathological, and if 10 crime happen in the normal underprivileged section, it is a completely normal. It's completely subjective.
No, I see whatever we study in sociology are all subjective. But what Durkheim tried to do, he tried to make it objective. So that is what we have discussed in even social fact also. He tried to see the extreme abstract forms of social facts in terms of things, right? Social facts need to be considered as things. We cannot consider crimes as things. So obviously there will be subjectivity when, see, even a judge is looking into a case, there can be subjectivity. If you can give, if you can give a pre-programmed judgment, like if computers can deliver judgment, is that possible? You can give the proofs and evidences through the computer through programming, and you allow the computer to judge a case. But why we are not going with that? All these are subjective. Otherwise we could have done with this. No, the prosecution will have everything, every evidence. So you can feed that to the computer and let the computer decide everything. Why we are not doing that? Because there is an element of subjectivity which is involved. So we cannot talk about that, but still his concern towards objectivity is what I was discussing over there. Now that is a functionalist perspective. To a certain extent it is normal, and beyond that it is pathological. What Marx says is every time it is pathological, every time is you are exploiting the poor. So that is what Marxian understanding. So Marxian concept of solution of these problems are change of society, change of mode of production. You change the entire system of production. But Durkheim says don't want to change this entire system within the existing mode of production. Some new changes are actually required because these are temporary abnormalities. You can solve that issues. That's what Durkheim says. So this can also be asked as a mains question, Durkheim's concept of communism and Marx's concept of communism. So you may think that in Durkheim we are not talking about communism, but this is actually his solution to the problems. We will discuss about that later anyway. Okay, anything else?
Hello.
Yes, Rahul.
Sir, can you give one example of material density?
And moral density, you are asking in message. Material density
No.
and moral density, right?
So
Material
moral
density, when I'm saying it is similar to, if you remember when we discussed about Marx, I've told you within a mode of production, over a period of time, what is happening? Over a period of time, there is a development of forces of production, tools, techniques, etc. All these are material advancements. All these quantitative advancements are material advancements, like increase in population, increase in tools, techniques. All these are material advancements or quantitative advancements. When I'm talking about moral density, I'm talking about norms and values in the society. So that keeps on increasing when population increasing. Norms and values will increase when population is increasing.
Okay. So one thing, moral and values, that will be same for a particular set of people who has staying in one particular place. Let's say let's give one example of Bangalore. Okay, Bangalore, it is a total big society, big metropolitan city. So whatever the morals and values, that will be applicable for each and everyone. Whatever suppose today the head count of Bangalore is 100, tomorrow it will be 200. Then I believe the moral and values, it will be same for everyone. Then how it is getting increased?
No, it may change. See, Bangalore 10 years before and 20 years before, what was Bangalore and what is Bangalore now is entirely different.
Okay.
Is it the same? No.
I can say like infrastructure might have.
No, not infrastructure. The values have totally changed. People, the way people interact also changed. The family level relations are changed. Marriage kind of concepts are changed. You can see almost a shift towards European society you can see over there. But that was not the case before 30 years ago. Okay, that's what I mean by norms and values. That keeps on changing anyway. And when the population increases, norms and values keep on changing and more norms, values will be there. So now the live-in relation is accepted as a social reality. It is institutionalized in Bangalore. But if you come to some other areas of Karnataka itself, it is still non-institutional and treated as an offense.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
So something else? Anything else? Division of labor. All of you understood?
Yes, sir.
So basically we left out with some partner. I haven't explained you the PDF and I've also skipped that abnormal forms, 3 abnormal forms. The 3 are easy. What I will do is I will explain that abnormal forms with the critical analysis. Okay, so today I have a topic, suicide. So I'll take some time to complete that. So if I explain that whatever left out in division of labor, what will happen is exactly the same what happened yesterday will happen. I will explain suicide and I will not have time to explain it completely. So what I'll try to do is I'll explain suicide completely. We will discuss a theory normally like every day we do, and we will go through the PDF and we'll understand suicide. And when I discuss about tomorrow, we will talk about religion, and day after tomorrow when we talk about critical analysis of Durkheim, I just need 30 minutes for critical analysis. So rest of the time we can do this whatever left out in division of labor. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So I hope you understood what all things we have discussed, and there is no need to have any problem in any of the concepts that we have discussed in division of labor, right? That block diagram itself is enough for you to understand. And then we talked about function, and then we didn't talk about abnormal forms, but it is easy. Anomy division of labor, forced division of labor, inadequate organization. Even if you read, you will understand, but I will explain it along with the critical analysis part. So shall we move to suicide today?
Yes, sir.
So, okay, we are going to discuss about suicide today. If you remember, we have referred this theory in many places to criticize Durkheim when we talked about positivism. When we talked about positivism, we have understood Durkheim as a positivist, and he used quantitative methods, and we have explained this theory over there, that Durkheim's theory of suicide is a classical exhibition of statistical methods or quantitative methods in sociology, right? And then we discussed about the criticism of positivism. I have criticized also by saying that the statistical techniques that he used was not actually correct. There are a lot of issues with that. The data he collected is basically to suit his convenience, and the theory was there in his mind even before he take up the analysis. So the theory was there in his mind even before he take up the analysis means, can we say his claim of being inductivist is wrong? It is actually a deductive theory.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so actually we can even criticize almost all the theories of Durkheim simply by saying that in all these cases you can see this this level of criticism, that even when we talk about religion also and suicide also, you can see the theory is almost fixed, and that is already there in his mind, and he collected data accordingly. Even religion also, you will see some the way he collected the the informations related to that religion which he is conducting study, all are related to some preconception. So here also, I'm talking about the criticism first, even before we enter into the theory. I'm saying the theory was already there in his mind even before he take up the analysis. So his claim of being an inductivist is actually over there itself. It is a kind of deductive theory. Okay, even though he is using statistical techniques and everything, it is basically to prove that conclusion, that this is what your criticism is going to be. So keeping this criticism in mind, we can start actually the theory of suicide. Okay, so otherwise a lot of positives are there for this theory. So theory of suicide, very important theory, and you need to understand everything. A lot of concepts will be discussed here, multivariate analysis, statistical techniques, all these things will be covered over here. Okay, so first we need to see the definition of suicide. So he is defining the suicide as any case of death. So he is taking any case of death which caused directly or indirectly, I'll explain all these words, directly or indirectly, with the positive or negative action of the victim himself, which he know it will produce the same result. So I repeat, any case of death, okay, any case of death which caused directly or indirectly with the positive or negative action of the victim himself, okay, which he know, so there is a knowledge which he know that it will produce this result. Okay, now what I need to explain here is basically, you may not understood what is this indirect, you may not understood this negative. Positive you know, right? Negative you may not understand. So directly, there is no doubt in that, you directly commit suicide. Okay, indirectly means you know that some act will lead to death, and still you do that and you die. That is indirect case of suicide. He is considering that also as suicide. For example, death due to rash driving or drunken driving. You know that it will produce a result. You can see here, the final word is actually that the victim know it will produce the result. So what I'm saying is, some cases of accident may also considered as suicide by Durkheim. Okay? Indirectly means, if you know that it will result into death, for example, you walking through a railway track, okay, and you're holding that headphone with you and you're playing the music, so you know if the train is coming and hitting you, you will die, but you are ignorant of that fact, and you walk through the railway track and the train is coming, hitting you, you died. Effectively, what is that? It is an accident. There was no intention of committing suicide. But according to Durkheim, it is a suicide because there is a case of death which caused indirectly, and you already know that it will produce the result. That's what I mean by indirect case. Now, what is positive and negative? Positive means I am consuming poison or I am hanging. All these are positive actions with the positive or negative actions of the victim himself. Okay, so positive action means I am doing something to commit suicide. Negative action means abstaining from action or inaction. For example, you stay in the middle of the road, some truck is coming, Okay, and you know if the truck is hitting you, you will die. But you abstain from action. That means you are not moving. That is what I mean by negative action. Okay? Starvation means, what do you want to ask? That can be indirect.
Is starvation also negative action, sir?
That is not negative action. How can you say it is negative action? He is not
Because we
accessing.
know that
Yeah, he know that in all those it is indirect, it is negative, but it is because he don't have food. No, if you have food, then it's okay.
okay.
But there are many other aspects also connected to that. If he have food, he will definitely eat.
Okay.
Okay. So I hope you understood this definition. Any case of death caused directly or indirectly. I hope you understood what is indirect. For example, death due to rash driving. Indirectly due to the positive or negative action of the victim himself, which he know it will produce a result. So that's about the definition of suicide. Okay. And what Durkheim was saying is, suicide is not a psychological phenomena. Okay, people generally talk about in terms of psychology or mental illness, etc. Depression, all these cases, what you generally talk about. But this is not purely psychological. This is actually social. It is actually a social phenomena. Okay. Now his effort is basically to identify there are some social properties which is actually forcing you to commit suicide. Maybe alienation. It can be anything. There are some social properties which is forcing you to commit. If it is about psychological reason, every person who is affected psychologically should commit suicide. But not everybody is committing suicide. So you cannot explain simply on the basis of psychological reason. So it is social. There are some reasons. Okay, obviously, and all these are social reasons according to Durkheim. And what he did is, he tried to explain this by using the rates of different countries. If you take different countries, let's say country A, country B, what he is saying is, if you take country A, okay, the rates of suicide in country A is fairly consistent, almost consistent. Every year this much suicide will be there. Similarly in B also, rates of suicide are fairly consistent, but between A and B the rates will vary. You understood what I'm saying? Within a country, for example, if you talk about India, euthanasia and all we will discuss later. Euthanasia is not suicide, we will discuss that. So when we discuss about country A, the rates are consistent. Okay, like India, if you take over a period of time, the rates are consistent. Every year, consistently, this many people are committing suicide. Similarly, country B, if you take, there are people committing suicide and the rates are consistent. Between A and B, there is a variation. For example, India and US, there is a variation. What could be the reason? There are certain social variables. You understand all these words? These words are to be there in your answer. Apart from that, whatever you're writing, it doesn't matter. All these key words should be there in your answer. There are certain social variables which are present in different countries, and these social variables are the reasons for people committing suicide. So you can say one set of social variable here and a different set of social variable here. For example, India, the social variables present, and in US, the social variables present are entirely different. So that is the reason why there is a difference in suicide rates. Okay, but in India, the social variables almost remain the same, and that's the reason why consistently you can see certain rate of suicide. So what Durkheim understood is the cause of suicide is social and not psychological. So a social reason is possible. Okay, so far you're okay. We have talked about the definition. We have talked about his conclusion. Now we need to go for causal explanation.
So what are the social variables like alienation, these things?
Yeah, social variables I'll tell. There are many variables he's taking, even urban, rural background, rich, poor background, marital status. All these backgrounds he's taking. A lot of social variables are there.
Okay, sir.
So don't worry about the social. There are many social variables he's considering. Okay. Now what he is doing is he collect data from police records. Okay, so he collect data from police records. So whatever cases are registered in police records, he collect. Now can you give me a criticism here with this point itself? Rahul, your mic is on. Can you switch it off?
Sir, some suicides are reported as murders. some murders reported as suicide like this.
Yeah, when you collect the data from police records, first of all, most of the cases of suicide might not be reported, right? Because of the stigma attached to it. Right, people may say that it was heart attack, and like that they will just bury the body, and most of the cases of death might not have recorded. Actual suicides might not have recorded. So that itself is actually a problem. I'm raising few criticisms here. At this point itself, I'm raising few criticism, and this should be the way you also think when you read the theory. Okay, and secondly, when you're talking about indirect causes of death, some cases of actual accident might be mistakenly taken as suicide, and similarly some cases of suicides might have recorded as accidents also. Okay, and all these cases of suicides, it is based on whom? The people who do this post-mortem, right? So they will decide whether it is suicide or not by seeing some preliminary investigation, like some marks are there in case of hanging. So based on certain marks, they will identify whether it is suicide or not. So in that context also, there can be something which can go wrong. The preliminary assumption of these people who commit this, who undertake this post-mortem, okay, can also go wrong. Apart from that, the stigma, some cases of accidents might have reported as suicide, some cases of suicides might have reported as accidents. All these you can write here. So here itself I am generating few criticism when we collect data. So can I say data collection itself is colored by a lot of subjectivity and criticism?
Yes, sir.
So if data collection is in itself is not correct, can you say the interpretation of data will be correct?
No.
Yes. Similarly, yeah, then based on that interpretation, if you are making theory, will that theory be universally applicable? No. That is the problem that we are facing. But Durkheim purely following inductive approach, Durkheim purely following quantitative or statistical techniques. But what I'm saying is, despite the fact that Durkheim followed a statistical approach in a study of suicide, but still this theory is totally subjective and claimed to be deductive. So isn't it a limitation in sociology to apply positivism or quantitative methods?
Yes.
Yes. So can you write all these points in your positivism also?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is how you need to incorporate thinkers in your other answers also. I hope you got the connection. So what I'm saying is paper 1, chapter 1, 2, 3 all are totally dependent on thinkers. When you see scope of sociology, now I'm expecting you will be in a position to write better answer once you know Marx, Durkheim, Weber, etc. Similarly, comparison with other subject, you can even take this theory, suicide. Suicide is considered as something which is psychological, and a psychologist studies suicide. But once Durkheim undertook the study, it becomes sociological. So comparison is already done. Right? Similarly, Marx theory of alienation, it is a psychological aspect, no? Self-alienation, etc. But it became sociological now. Similarly, sociology and common sense, all these positivism, I hope you got very good contents now from here itself. What are the criticisms that you can make for positivism? Because Durkheim is considered as the most important positivist. Right? So all these things should be there in your answer, not only that note which I have given to you, positivism, but you can incorporate all these things in your words and you will fetch really good marks. So this will reflect that understanding. This will reflect that character and personality. Everything will be there. Your knowledge will be reflected. So that's why I'm saying once you understand thinkers, you will not face any problem. And this is the way we are going to do thinkers. Every thinkers will do like this and you will not face any problem. Okay, so first step is done, that he collected data from police records. Okay, now after this, he have found some concomitant, he have seen some variation between people committing suicide and some social variables, and he identifies certain social variables in terms of rich, poor background, okay, and then urban, rural background, and then marital status, married, unmarried. Okay, so all these are different social variables, male, female, religion, like Protestant religion, Catholic religion, even based on country, also developing country and developed country. So religion, religious affiliation. So these are the social variables he have taken into consideration, and based on these variables, he have come up with a different conclusion. Those conclusions are based on some of the conclusions are based on single variable, like he will take single variables and he will say like bachelors commit more suicide. Okay, so this is based on married, unmarried, social variable. So this is a single variable analysis. Bachelors commit more suicide. Women commit less suicide than men. Okay, women less than men. So this is one analysis. And more in rural than in, no, sorry, the reverse. More in urban than in rural. So these are a few of his conclusion based on single variables. And then he will take multiple variables also. So I'm saying these are different social variables, and he collected data and he interpreted in terms of single variables and multivariables, and you may get multivariate analysis, etc. So this multivariable analysis is what we are going to discuss now. Okay, so now multiple variable means like some categories of people like men, Christian, unmarried. Okay, so this is a category of people. So he have taken multiple variables. Men, Christian, unmarried have higher rate of suicide than women, Jew, and married. So what I'm saying is men, Christian, unmarried, if you take this group, they have more suicide tendency than this group, women, Jew, married. Similarly, the countries based on Protestant religion, Protestant and developed countries. These, if you take this block together, multivariables, right? Two variables I have taken. So Protestant and developed countries have higher rate of suicide than Catholic and developing countries. Okay, so this is what you mean by what? The multivariate analysis. He is understanding by using multiple variables. So what I'm saying is he identified certain social variables. These are those variables like rich, poor, urban, rural, marital background, male, female, religious affiliation based on country, etc. And he concluded age, and we cannot include everything. Whatever Durkheim said is what we are saying. When you conduct your analysis, when you are writing your answer, you can say age and everything can be included. But few of his conclusion which he made is what we need to write, no? So all what I'm saying is what he said. It may be correct, it may be wrong. I don't want to check the authenticity of that. We can do that when we are criticizing it. We don't want to add anything to it. We don't want to miss anything from this. Okay, Tejaswini. You got it? Okay. So here, first conclusion is based on single variable. Bachelors commit more suicide than married. Women commit less suicide than men. It is more in urban than in rural. These are based on single variables, and these are based on where? These are based on multiple variables. This much is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what he is concluding is all these suicides are based on two reasons, and he identified. So all these are based on what? Suicide is based on what? Social variables, and these social variables are present in society and can be understood in terms of two suicidogenic forces, and he is reducing all these social variables into two suicidogenic forces. So suicidogenic forces means there is a force which make you or force you to commit suicide. Okay, so what are they? Forces of integration and forces of regulation. So people are committing suicide because of these two reasons: forces of integration and forces of regulation. Now this can be of two types. There can be over integration and there can be less integration. Similarly, there can be over regulation and there can be less regulation. So this much is clear. We talked about the definition of suicide, and we talked about the way he collected data and the analysis that he has done, and we talked about the single variables, multivariables, in fact generally variables, and we have seen few of his conclusion based on single variables like bachelors commit more suicide than married, more in urban than in rural. Women commit less suicide than men. Then we have also seen, on the basis of multiple variables, countries based on Protestant religion and developed have more suicide rates than Catholic and developing countries. And rich people, men, unmarried, commit more suicide than women, Jew, married. So these are what the understanding that he developed on the basis of single variable and multiple variable. And based on that, he identified two suicidogenic forces in society which makes people committing suicide. These are the two suicidogenic forces, that are forces of integration, forces of regulation. So integration can be over integration or less integration. If it is over integration, it is known as altruistic suicide. You can complete it altruistic suicide. Less integration, egoistic suicide. Egoistic suicide. You need to know each and every word that Durkheim was using in this theory. Okay, very easy, and it is easy to remember also. Similarly, over-regulation. Over-regulation is fatalistic, and less regulation means anomie. Now I'll give you example for each of this. So first of all, let's take this case, over integration. What does that mean? You are more integrated to society and you commit suicide. Why? Because you commit suicide to uphold the values of society. Okay, so for example, you can take soldiers dying in battlefield. So when the soldiers are dying in battlefield, he is considering it as suicide. Why? Because he know that if you go for a war, you will die. So you know the result and you are going for it. And why you are going for it? Because you are integrated too much to society and you are upholding death for the benefit of society. So that is an example of altruistic suicide. Similarly, captain dying with a sinking ship. See, the captain will only come out of the ship after evacuating all the people who was trapped in the ship in case of any exigency, right? So he preferred to die in the ship. That is also because of the integration, over integration with the society. Is that example is clear? Similarly, the people who are treating this nurses and the doctors who are working for this corona, they are risking their life. They know that they will die. So if they are dying, ultimately he considered it as suicide because they know that this will be the result. It may be indirectly. Okay, that leads to death. That is considered as suicide, but that comes under here, altruistic suicide. Exactly the opposite, egoistic suicide. You feel so much alienated in society. There is no integration with the society. It could be due to some failure, indignation, or you may lose in exams or whatever it is. All these could be explained in terms of less integration with society. Okay, so that is egoistic suicide. Then forces of regulation. Over-regulation means you are more regulated in society and you cannot express your freedom, or you are not getting any freedom. But this is very rare in modern society. In modern society, people are free in real sense. So this was more common in ancient and medieval times, where slaves commit suicide because they are so much regulated by the others. Okay, and less regulation means anomie suicide. Anomie is a state of normlessness. You will not follow any rules, norms, etc. So that state is anomie. Deviant behavior will be shown maximum. So like drunken driving, rash driving, all these are because of less regulation. Okay, so you can write here death due to rash driving. All these are examples for anomie. It can happen due to a situation of elation, extreme happiness, etc. When you're celebrating something, that elation, right? You drunk and drive, that may lead to death. That will come here, anomie suicide. So these are the 4 different suicides that Durkheim talking about. I'll tell you again, based on all the social variables, he identified 2 suicidogenic forces. Say, reading the messages, you can talk in between. It will make the flow will break. Yeah.
Sir, regarding these regulation, does that mean that more repressive laws?
Yeah, it can be repressive. That's what I've told you in case of ancient and medieval society, slaves commit suicide. It may be because of repressive laws or anything. Okay. You are not free, so you may commit suicide.
Like some draconian laws by the state.
Yes. Those will come under fatalistic suicide.
Okay, sir. But still in our society, though there are laws against drunk driving, but still accidents or suicides are happening. So can we consider it in anomic society?
All these see, what is the law? What is the law in India for drunk and drive?
Some fines.
Do you think that fines will prevent you from, if you are a very poor person, if you don't have 2,000 rupees to pay, then you may not go for this. If you have 2,000 rupees to pay, what you will do?
Okay, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So the problem is with there are problems with the laws also.
Okay, sir.
So, and nothing is going to happen in India. That is the situation, right? That's why this more anomy activities like all this drunken driving. So, how many drunken drive cases are there reported? In reported cases are, let's say X means, how many will be the actual cases? At least 10 times X will be there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Somebody also, Ankita, you want to ask something?
Yes, sir.
Tell
Sir,
me.
if a person is more it is also regulated by it, right?
I didn't understand. If a person.
If a person is more integrated to the society, it eventually means it is regulated by it.
How is it regulated?
Obviously regulated by the laws and all.
Not necessarily.
Then if we are not regulated, then how are we integrated into the society?
It is, see, I have given you the example of these nurses, etc. No, that is not because of laws or rules they are working. They are working for the society. So that's what I mean by integration. They are integrated to the society. Or the soldiers, it is not because of laws. No, otherwise you also need to go as a soldier and you also need to participate in, wars. But why are you not going? Only the soldiers are going. It is their choice and they feel like they need to go and they are in that job. So it is because of their integration with society. There is nobody forcing you to take the job of nurse, or nobody is forcing you to become a soldier. Nobody is forcing you to become a captain or anything. The best example is the case of soldier in this context. More integration.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other doubts? So the problem is with forces of integration and forces of regulation, and based on that there are two types. I'll show you one more time. So forces of integration and forces of regulation. So here you have less integration and over integration. Here also you have less integration and over integration. So what is this less integration? That is egoistic. Okay? And over integration, what is that? Altruistic. Okay? And less regulation, anomic. Over regulation, fatalistic. Okay? So these are the four different types of suicide. Now you take any case of suicide, it can directly fit into any of this or maybe combination of this two. Like that. Either directly or combination, you can define any case of suicide according to Durkheim. Okay, now what he's saying is, now next part is very important. What he's saying is, these forces of integration and regulation you cannot see or you cannot touch or you cannot feel, or it won't exist just like that directly. These forces of integration and regulations, forces of integration and forces of regulation create some social currents. And these social currents are actually drawn from some social variables. So there are some social variables in society. So social currents are based on this social variables. Okay. So that is the reason why, and it's similar to electric current. If you touch this, you will commit suicide. Like electric current, if you go and touch, you will die. Similarly, now why in different society? Okay. So this is what. So why people are committing suicide? It is because of social currents which are drawn from social variables. Now he is not only explaining the cases of suicides or causes of suicides or the types of suicide. He's also explaining why suicide rates are different in different society. For example, Ritzer identified 2 points from Durkheim. What he's saying is, different society. Somebody's mic is on. Can you please turn it off? So different societies See, sometimes societies, Durkheim use the word collectivity also. All these are same. Collectivity, society, all these are same. Okay. So different societies have different collective consciousness. Okay, correct? No, different societies have different collective consciousness. That means in US and in India, there will be different collective consciousness. So because of that, there will be different social variables. So different societies have different social variables. So when different societies have different social variables means different societies will have different what? Social currents. So since different societies have different social currents, then what will differ? Different suicide rate, right? So he is basically explaining why suicide rates are different in country A and country B. You understood? Country A and country B, people have different consciousness. So different set of variables. For example, if you talk about India, the different social variables, you can say caste, etc. So these are not present in country B, right? So different societies have different social variables. So different social currents in different societies. So different suicide rates in different society. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, within a society, for example, if you take India, within a society, do you think suicide rate in 1950 and 2000 are same? No. 1950, 51, 52, etc. If you take, it may be consistent. But if you take this much long time, there will be variation. Why that variation is happening? Because within a society, within, let's say, let me write India here. Okay, within India, or let's generalize, within a society or collectivity, over a period of time, what happens? What will change? Social variables change, right? Is it the similar concept of family that we have now as in 1950? No, different, right? Caste system, it is different, right? Religion, everything is different. So social variables changed. So there is a change in social. Let me use delta. So there is a change in social variables. So there will be a change in social current. So there will be a change in suicide rate. So that leads to a change in suicide rate. That is why the suicide rates in a country or in a society is different over a period of time. So we have explained 2 points now. Why suicide rates are different in different countries at same point of time, like India and US. Why it is different? Because different society, different social variables, different social current, because of that different suicide rate. Then we have explained within a society why suicide rates are different. Within a society, over a period of time, the social variables change, so social currents will change, so social suicide rates also will change. That's it. Done? That's about the theory. It's a very simple theory, don't make it very complex. You just need to know the flowchart that I have shown you here. That order you can go, the 4 types of suicide, understand social current, this Ritzer conclusion. Then pathological state is very simple. He is saying certain rate of suicide is normal. Why it is normal? Because it actually helps you to check the integration and regulation problems in society. Beyond that, it will create problem. That's about the pathological situation. Clear? Any doubts? Anyone have any doubts? Social current means it is actually drawn from different social variables. We can't say any particular example. It could be different for different people. Set of social variable. It can be based on caste. It can be based on friends. It can be based on alienation. Okay. It can be based on religion. It can be based on failure of anything. All these can be social variables. So there can be multiple combinations. Maybe you are alienated from friends, or you face from a problem from family, so etc. That together can create a different social current. Okay, so we can't give such examples like what is social current. These are based on certain social variables.
Sir, so for a particular society, the social currents are same, but each and every member of the society doesn't commit suicide. That's correct, no?
Yeah, each and every member will not commit suicide, though if you are affected by that social current. That's why I've told you, if you go and touch it, you will have to commit suicide.
But the social currents for a particular society is same.
Yeah, social. See, how I treat a situation of failure and how you treat a situation of failure may be different. Social currents are same.
So social current means when one gets failed in an exam, so this is the social current.
This can also be social current because that's a stigma with the society. Consider you as a failure, no?
Okay.
So that will also create a social current. And again, let me tell you one more line. Finally, Durkheim also acknowledged the fact that the mental condition of the person will also play a role, but social reason is, the most important reason is social. So the reason is created socially, and then the psychological aspect is also relevant, but not like social.
Okay.
Like if you are very tough, you can withstand any situation. Like I can withstand any situation. Similar to that, some people may not withstand situations, right? So
yes.
Like that. Yeah. Any doubts?
Sir, when a student he fails in an exam, after that, if he commits suicide, then how can be it a sociological? I think it's more than psychological problem. So how can be social? Because no one is going to throw him out from the society, neither his friends nor his family. Then how it will be a sociological?
That you are saying it will come here. It will come under egoistic suicide. Here it will come because you will face alienated from your family and everywhere, from your friends, from your society. You will be treated as a failure. So you feel you are less integrated with society. But if a person is so much integrated with society, he can accommodate that failure, not a problem. But those people who are not that integrated with family or society, they may feel that now there is no purpose of living, they commit suicide.
You mean to say who feels that they are isolated?
Yes.
Okay.
If I am getting enough support from family, then I don't want to commit suicide, no? That means I am integrated with family.
Okay.
If my family is not supporting me, if the society is not supporting me, then this will come here, because you are not integrated.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. What else? If no other doubts, we can move to PDF.
Yes, sir. You can move.
Yeah. Can you see this?
Zoom it bit, sir.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Stop.
Okay. After Durkheim wrote The Rules of Sociological Method, he tackled the subject of suicide 1897. Okay. So you need to write that in inverted comma. So as an example of how a sociologist can study a subject that seems extremely personal with no social aspect, right? He intended to exhibit the use of scientific methodology. So all these are taken from that positivism in sociology. The study of suicide is considered as a classical exhibition of the use of quantitative methods in sociology till date. So this has to be there in your introduction. This point has to be there. Okay. So otherwise it depends on if it is 10 marker, you start with this. This point has to be there in your answer. Like this line, cut, copy, paste in your answer. Through the study, Durkheim also classifies the approach of a sociologist, the approach of a sociologist towards certain phenomena which are commonly understood as social problems or at times even antisocial. So now we will see the definition of suicide. Any case of death caused directly or indirectly. Any doubt with respect to this indirect case? Anyone? Okay. By positive or negative. Negative is also okay for you? I mean abstaining from action. Is that okay? Okay, so any case of death caused directly or indirectly by the positive or negative action of the victim himself, which he will produce this result. Okay, so positive actions are the action taken by individual which may result in the death directly, like consuming poison, hanging, all these are direct. Whereas negative action refer to inaction or abstaining from action which result in death. I've given you the example. Durkheim understand suicide in a very comprehensive manner by also including those acts which are not having direct intention of suicide but indirectly causes death. For example, death due to rash driving. For the purpose of development of theories, Durkheim collected data of suicide which are reported as suicide in official records. According to Durkheim, suicide is a social phenomena, and he rejected earlier explanation of suicide which explain in terms of different factors like heredity, climate, race, mental illness, etc. With the help of data, he was able to show that all these claims are false and are unable to give a conclusive cause of suicide. In the case of psychological reason, Durkheim argued that not every case of mental illness or abnormality result in suicide, and no theories are possible which can clearly define such psychological state. Moreover, Durkheim found that the rate of suicide in different countries are fairly consistent over time, and this is the breakthrough, this is the breaking point. Every country, it is consistent, so there may be something to do with the social variables of that country. This led him to conclude that suicide may be a function of certain social properties which are different for different societies. Thus, a sociological cause of suicide may be possible. Okay, now let's see causal explanation of suicide. Durkheim analyzed the data collected from the police records of different countries. By employing statistical techniques using multivariate analysis, Durkheim found a concomitant variation between different social variables associated with people committing suicide. That is, the rates of suicide vary with a set of social variables and the rates are fairly consistent. So, different social variables taken by Durkheim are marital status, okay, rural urban background, rich or poor, male or female, religious affiliations. He finds certain general tendency to associate a particular rate of suicide to a particular social variable. Few of his conclusions include on the basis of single variable and also on the basis of multiple variables. Now, single variables, bachelors commit more suicide than married, women commit less than men, more in urban than in rural. Similarly, multivariate analysis, further Durkheim also associates certain category of variables with the rate of...
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Tell
so
me.
they need to elaborate single variable and multivariable?
Any need?
Or just we mention the name?
You need to explain these conclusions like this. That's why I've given like this. These are very important. That's why separately I've given. So you have to write this.
Okay.
Multivariable, some categories of people who are men, Christian, unmarried have high rates of suicide than women, Jews and married. He also concludes that certain countries based on Protestant religion developed have higher rates of suicide than the countries based on Catholic religion and less developed. These conclusions led Durkheim to believe that the cause of suicide is located within society. Okay, after analyzing all the variables in terms of the control over individual, Durkheim defined two suicidogenic forces which are responsible for a particular rate of suicide. The two types of forces identified by Durkheim are forces of integration and forces of regulation. So forces of integration, there are two: over integration, low integration. Okay, so altruistic suicide, this is over, egoistic, less integration. Yeah, it is coming there. Altruistic suicide, it is a suicide which results from over integration of an individual with society, in which a person thinks that his death will fulfill a social purpose. Here, individual embrace death to uphold society. I hope you understood this. For example, soldiers dying in battlefield, you don't want this E. On the battlefield, okay. Captain dying with sinking ship, etc. So egoistic suicide, the suicide results from low integration of an individual with the society. Individual feels isolated and alone. In this category, Durkheim keeps all individual cases of suicide resulting from the acts of failure, indignation, desperations, etc. and when the ties of an individual with the society are broken. That means you feel isolated, you commit suicide. Less integration. Now, forces of regulation, there can be two: over-regulation and under-regulation. Over-regulation is fatalistic, under-regulation is anomic. Okay, so anomic suicide, these are suicides resulting from the state of normlessness in which society's regulation disappears. Anomy is generally the result of sudden changes creating situation of desperations or elations. Elations means extreme happiness, like that. Fatalistic suicide, these are suicide which is the result of excessive control of individual by the society. That is a state of over-regulation. According to Durkheim, such suicides are rare in modern societies. For example, slaves suicide in ancient and medieval period, but in modern time it is rare. According to Durkheim, a particular case of suicide may be due to integration or regulation problem, but these problems of integration or regulation do not exist as individual instances but create social currents in societies. These social currents are based on the nature of societies drawing from different social variables. So social currents are based on nature of society and based on the social variables. This results in fairly consistent rate of suicide in a particular society. Thus, he aimed to explain not only a single case of suicide, but he also emphasized on explaining the rates of suicide. Ritzer identified two arguments in Durkheim theory of suicide. This has to be there whenever you write your answer. These 2 points has to be there in the conclusion. Firstly, different collectivities have different collective consciousness, produces different social variables which produce different social current leading to different suicide rates. Actually, this is collective conscience. Okay. In Durkheim's words, it is collective conscience. So different collectivities have different collective conscience. If you write consciousness, then also not a problem. Produces different social variables which produce different social current leading to different suicide rates. And secondly, changing collective conscience over a period of time. There's also conscience, that is a correct word. Consciousness is also not wrong. Changing collective conscience over a period of time leads to change in social currents, resulting in change in suicide rates. Okay, that's what we have explained already. Now this is finally Durkheim acknowledged the role of, this is where you can justify any mistake if you have made in the theory. So psychological factors also playing some role, but it will create the impulse. Quick impulse is based on psychological factor. Otherwise the real cause is social. What is the point in committing suicide if you don't feel alienated socially? Maybe that impulse is psychological, but why it is done? If you see, it is all because of social. The main reason is social. Okay? So then suicidogenic, this is, you can see the street diagram. So suicidogenic forces, 2, force of integration, force of regulation. So over integration altruistic, low integration egoistic, over regulation fatalistic, and low regulation anomy. Now distinction between normal and pathological state. According to Durkheim, certain rate of suicide exists in every society. These rates are fairly consistent and it is a fact which is true across time and space. Thus, finally he claims that suicide is a social fact which exists independent of individual will. And we can also write suicide is a social fact which comes into existence on its own and exists independent of his will, right? Social facts are general in nature. It comes into existence its own, it is independent, and it is having a constraining influence over the individual. All these we have discussed. Certain rate of suicide is normal as it highlights the state of integration and regulation in society. The act of suicide is always coupled with initiation of forces which corrects the integration or regulation problem, so that you can correct the problems in society. If the rate of suicide crosses certain limit, it becomes pathological or abnormal condition. So what Durkheim says is certain rate of farmers suicide is normal because you can check and understand the problems of farmers and you can correct it in terms of MSP, in terms of subsidies, etc. Okay, that's it. Any doubts? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Shubham, you don't have any doubt?
No.
Sir,
Ramesh, tell me.
hello.
Yeah.
So why he consider religion as a variable? What was the logic?
I've told you now, we have also taken that Protestant religion. He is identifying that more suicides are in Protestant religion. Now again, if you take even if you try to see among Muslims and Hindus, what do you think? In which religion suicide is more?
No idea.
No idea. Actually, it is more in Hinduism. In Islam, it is actually within Islam again it is a crime. So it is less compared to Hinduism. So that's why religion is also playing some role in suicide. And people at that time were so religious, no? So he identified in Protestant religion people committing more suicide than Catholic religion. So he have taken all the social properties. Religion is a social fact. So he take that as a social variable. So any social fact is considered as social variable.
A spiritual sacrifice is called suicide.
Spiritual?
Yes. Sacrifice.
No. Which spiritual sacrifice? Human sacrifice. We don't want to talk about human sacrifice here.
Spiritually, even a human sacrifice is spiritual for religious purpose.
So can you give an example for that? There is no human sacrifice now. There is no human sacrifice
Tomorrow
now.
I will give you.
Sir, the thing is, in some places of Kolkata, till now there are some practices the people who do black magic kind of stuff.
Black magic and all that we cannot discuss under these theories. He is not able. He is collecting data from where?
Yeah,
Police station.
Police station. So do you think those cases will be reported as per in the police stations?
Sir, Salekana present in Jainism.
Huh?
Salekana Jainism.
It's still there. It was actually even during British time only. It was banned by Lord Hardinge.
No, sir. Recently, Supreme Court given judgment that it's still there, sir. Means at the age of death, means around after 80 years, 90 years, they will refuse to eat. So eventually, they will die. That is Salekana Jainism.
You're talking. Okay.
Salekana, sir. Sacrifice, human sacrifice.
Okay. That human sacrifice and all, that is not suicide. That human sacrifice means it's a murder. Whatever it is murder. It is not suicide. We cannot study under this banner. We cannot study that.
Okay, sir.
Anything else? So you read that, and it's 7:15. So can we stop here for today? And if you have any doubt, we'll see that tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Can we stop?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Yeah.